The following podcast contains alcohol-enhanced conversations about alcohol, as well as a potential for discussions about other topics of dubious, disturbing, possibly offensive, but usually hilarious interest. The opinions stated herein are solely of the person stating them, and any endorsement of these opinions by any other party is not implied. Foul language is likely, but intolerant viewpoints are not. Listener intoxication is advised. Hello and welcome to episode 23 of the Whiskey Tangent Podcast. I'm Scott.
And I'm Ed.
And tonight we're doing our first long-promised and highly anticipated Scotch episode. So if you've listened to our podcast for any length of time, you know that we are Scotch novices. Right?
Haters!
Well, I wouldn't go that far. Well, maybe you.
Me.
Yeah. Our first foray was the Game of Thrones House Stark whiskey from Balvenie. We advanced our knowledge in the recent four-part Whiskey Madness 2020 Final Pour Bracket Tournament, in which we included Scotch as a whole region, entering 4 different expressions. But finally, we're doing a standalone numbered episode about some Scotches, a blend and a single malt, that we feel might be good introductions to the category for people like us who are primarily bourbon and rye drinkers. And, as he is wont to do, Ed's here to tell you, out of the thousands out there, which Scotches we chose.
Right, Scott. Thanks so much. I mean, Scotch is a new world for me. And I know that to be a grown-up, I need to have a proper, not just an appreciation of Scotch, because I know it's the granddaddy of whiskeys, but actually a competency in it and a palate for it. You know, Scott seems like a kid who just found masturbation and now he always wants to go to bed early every night. I'm like, we had a couple good experiences during the Whiskey Madness.
Is 15 times in a day too much?
What is the Auchentoshan? What is it?
Auchentoshan?
Was actually not too terrible. I was a grown-up and I voted for Lagavulin.
Right.
Because it's a little too smoky for me, but
Put on the water?
I was able to understand
nice,
the complexity and the flavor of it. But, I mean, I feel like he's like, okay, now we're a Scotch podcast. That's not going to happen while I'm here because
I didn't say that.
I feel like he can't wait to run the Scotch. And I'm not ready to run there yet. I don't like smoky, peaty Scotches. I've been over that. Ardbeg and me are not friends, but I respect the complexity that an Ardbeg is. I hate it. Hate it, but yet I get why people would like it. It's like ghost pepper sauce. I'm not a ghost pepper sauce guy, but I can see why you would like it if that's your thing. And if Ardbeg's your thing, that's fine. I am starting to enjoy Scotches of the single malt variety. There's something to it. It's like a step up from Irish whiskey. I'm looking for a step up, not jumping right, up to my neck in the world of, what is it, Islay Scotch?
Yeah,
right.
Isla.
Right.
You don't want to jump up to your neck in a smoky peat bog.
Yeah, right. I don't need smoky peat shoved up my anus. All right.
Oh.
So I don't. Scott, I don't.
I don't think anybody does.
No,
actually.
that's why we're good. We agree on that.
Yeah.
So we've been planning a Scotch episode for a while. It's a shame we had some great people that were going to come on.
Yeah.
My friend Joe, who has a pretty good palate for Scotch. His wife, Lisa, is a fantastic bourbon connoisseur who we're supposed to do an episode with us. And due to her job as a pretty important person in medicine in the Philadelphia area, she's needed and can't break away. And the three of us were going to let Joe kind of bring us some Scotches. And he had mentioned to me Glenmorangie. He has a particular one. I forget which one.
Signet.
Yeah, the Signet. He loves the Signet. It's a little bit pricey for us to just do together. I mean, if he wanted to bring the Signet, and we are going to have him on eventually, so we compare it to what we're doing today, which is the original.
Right.
Glenmorangie Original is about $43 a bottle, nothing crazy. And we're going to warm up first with a little bit of the monkey shoulder, which is just creating a huge buzz in what I consider the novice Scotch category.
Yeah, I saw it everywhere online before I'd even knew what it was. I didn't even know it was a Scotch. Everyone's like, oh, monkey shoulder.
Right.
And then I saw it was was a Scotch. And then I'm like, meh, because we weren't really into Scotches.
Right. If you look at the bottle, it says a blended malt Scotch whiskey. And what that means is, well, a blended Scotch whiskey is defined as a blend of malt whiskey and cheaper to produce grain whiskey. All right. And this is what your lower level Johnny Walkers are. All right.
Right.
Principle, there's no reason why a blended malt would not be every bit as good as a single malt, since it's only the number of distillers that differ.
Right.
But just as blended scotches have long occupied the entry level price point, see Johnny Walker Red Label, most blended malts are similarly inexpensive and without age statements. And Monkey Shoulder is no different. It's a blended malt from 3 classic Speyside distilleries, and it's put together by William Grant and Sons. And the 3 distilleries that they get their blends from: Glenfiddich, Balvenie,
yep.
and Kininvie, which is not really as well known as the other 2. I mean, Balvenie and Glenfiddich you would have heard of.
Definitely.
Kininvie is usually, most of its malt production goes into blended scotches. So, but the other 2, like I said, you should be familiar with as single malt drinkers, and they'll give you an idea as to what the flavor profile is going to be here in the Monkey Shoulder.
And what is that flavor profile?
On the nose, we're supposed to get a fairly light scent with a dominant note of caramelized baked apples.
Okay.
Green bananas, a little citrus, golden raisins, vanilla, nutmeg, a slight brown sugar note, all combining to give it a like baked apple pie, if you will.
I do smell the green bananas. Like, smell it. It has
Yeah.
that quality to it.
When we taste it, you're supposed to look for some notes of honey and caramel. Not as fruity as on the nose, but it will have a little bit of maybe a light pear.
Ooh.
A little bit of spice.
Okay.
It's malty. Let's see what it tastes like.
Yeah. Like most scotches, it's a little light, a little lighter than you're probably used to for a bourbon.
It's 86 proof.
Like lighter in color, I mean.
Right, but I'm saying it's also 86 proof.
Sure.
It's a little bit darker than your average Irish whiskey, I would imagine.
Oh, yeah. I can totally taste what they're saying about the baked apples. That's marvelous, actually.
Mine's been sitting on an ice cube, so it's kind of opened up a lot with water, and it's very, very delicious.
Wow, that's really good.
I really do like the Monkey Shoulder, and I really feel like the fact that I'm enjoying this, enjoy the Chivas during the tournament, and I want to order a Stranahan's for my locker at the lounge, which is a single malt from Colorado.
Our locker.
I feel like my palate is growing. I'm ignoring your snarkiness for no reason.
Well, why did you say my? I mean, it's our locker.
I know, because I'm talking about me.
Damn it.
Justified belligerence.
Because I'm talking to the rest of the world, Scott, not you.
But it's still our locker. I still pay for it.
Let's not do this in front of the kids. So, our locker,
Thank you.
I'm thinking of ordering Stranahan's. And Stranahan's goes for about the...
You're thinking of ordering. I'm just kidding. No.
And the Monkey Shoulder's 32, so I'm like, do I really want a Stranahan's? If I can get a Monkey Shoulder for $20 less, I don't know.
Wait, the Stranahan's is what, 50?
Like $49.99 or something, and this is $32.99.
The Stranahan's is a little different, though, isn't it?
It's a little better than this.
That's a single malt as well. It's also an American single malt.
Right, made in Colorado, right.
Right.
It's very unique. If you guys have never tried Stranahan's, give it a try. It's delicious.
Right. This episode is about bourbon drinkers trying to get into Scotch.
Right. Any way you can.
Yeah.
So if you like smoky ones, try McCarthy's, which is the smoky whiskey that's out in Oregon.
Or Lagavulin.
Which is actually a real smoky Scotch.
Or the Hillrock single malt.
Or the Woodford Reserve malted whiskey. And they also have their chocolate malt.
The chocolate malt.
The Woodford Reserve chocolate malt.
Yeah,
so
that was really good.
That one's, that's over $100 a bottle, though. So bring all your money, but it's nice.
Yeah, but honestly, Monkey Shoulder at what did you say?
$32.99.
$32.99.
At Total Wine down the road.
Right. So if you can find this and you're a bourbon drinker who wants to get into Scotch, you're not going to go wrong with Monkey Shoulder.
No, Monkey Shoulder is delicious.
It still has that barley spiciness at the finish.
Right. It could have benefited from a little bit more aging, I think, because you can taste the usefulness.
Sure.
But
yeah, I'd seen good things about it, and I'm not disappointed.
And I've seen some of the Ardbeg crowd like smack back against it, which made me actually like it more, not less.
Right.
For where it scores as a whiskey to its price point, it's almost like the bullet rye of Scotch, if you will.
Well, we talked before, I think, a little bit about the shade that blends get, because a lot of people's experience with blends is like your Johnny Walkers, right?
Right, the red label, which is basically the bottom of the barrel.
Yeah, so people think of blends and that's what they're thinking of. But especially in the bourbon world now, we have done several podcasts about bourbons and ryes that have been blends, and they've been wonderful.
High West, Jefferson, Blood Oath.
Absolutely.
I mean, you can go right down the list.
The Little Book, Chapter 3.
Right.
The blend of 3 or 4 of our favorite whiskeys.
Right. So, Scott, I noticed on the bottle of Monkey Shoulder, it says batch 27. Do you know why that is?
I do, because I was curious as well.
Did they change it?
No, it always says batch 27, and it's sort of an homage to their first vatting of all of the barrels that they used from the 3 distilleries.
Okay.
And they used 27 different barrels. So that's why it's called batch 27
Oh, so the first batch of Monkey Shoulder had 27
barrels.
Wow. Okay.
Yeah.
Good job.
All mixed in together.
In case you're wondering, the unusual name comes from a historical occupational strain injury that's typical in floor malters from the time period when Scotch became popular. In the early years of whiskey production, the traditional method of malting barley would be to spread it across a large floor, and it would require constant turning of the barley so that it didn't over-germinate into a solid mat.
Right.
So, and this is traditionally done by hand, and Monkey Shoulder was like a crude name for the condition that some malt workers developed after long shifts where one of their arms would hang down, similar to some monkeys.
Right, so they were overworking their one arm by turning the malt, so they kind of hunched over and had monkey shoulder.
Right.
That's terrible.
It might not be permitted today, the nickname, but
did you finish? I didn't finish mine.
I'm going to finish mine
wonderful.
right now. And you know what? Even though this is a blended malt, I'm getting a very strong, single malt flavor to it.
Well, it's like you said, a single malt's only called a single malt because it comes from a single distillery. That doesn't mean that they're not blending their own barrels together.
Right.
They do that in the bourbon world. They do that in the rye world. Unless it's a single barrel, it is a blend of other barrels. This just happens to be different barrels from different distilleries.
That's right, which, like I said many times on here, especially when it comes to red wine, I like Zinfandels and Meritages, which tend to be blends.
So in a lot of cases, blends are much maligned.
I think that's fair. All right, let's switch to the next Scotch we have today. Scott, tell us about this one.
I read on whiskeyadvocate.com, single malt Scotches for beginners, 7 bottles every new drinker should try. And Glenmorangie was the cheapest one on it. So that's why we chose it. I had no experience with it. However, my choice was endorsed by what Ed said earlier about his friend Joe, who's a good big Scotch drinker, and he likes the Glenmorangie Signet, which is a uptick of the regular 10-year that we have here.
Yeah.
Glenmorangie is a distiller that's been in business since 1843 when William Matheson founded it in the Scottish Highlands. So it's a Highland whiskey. If you know anything about Scotch, you know that there's 4 major regions and a few more that some people would describe as major regions. And we have Speyside and Highland represented here. It's inspired by the distillery's peaceful surroundings on the banks of Dornoch Firth. He brought forth a pioneering single malt whiskey wonderfully complex and exceptionally smooth. Ever since, we have pursued our craft with uncompromising dedication, endlessly creative in our quest for perfection. To this day, we honor the distillery's provenance in our award-winning single malt. Its pure, smooth spirit is distilled in Scotland's tallest stills, matured in the finest casks. Glenmorangie will surely delight malt whiskey lovers for generations to come. Glenmorangie, 10-year, single malt. This is one whiskey that we have not tried. We had the Monkey Shoulder before, but we have not had this yet.
We've never had this before.
And I'm so excited to try this. All right, so the tasting notes. Did you pour yourself some?
I did. I have not tasted
awesome.
it. It's neat. I have nothing in it.
Right, I'm going to pour myself some.
Let's pour some into my mustache. So now...
well, that you're saving it for later.
Yeah, I'm savoring it.
Okay, so on the nose, very fruity and thick. Rich notes of lemon, nectarine, and apple.
Nectarine. Just call it a peach and let's move on with our lives.
Nectarine, apple, and spices.
I mean, there's some alcohol in the nose, but God, there is apple too. It's almost like green spot level of apple.
Oh, yeah. Almost. Not quite as distinct green apple smell as green spot, but yeah, you're getting that.
Yes.
On the palate, fresh and balanced vanilla, boiled sweets, creamy, tiramisu, and toffee.
All right, let's taste it.
Oh, that's nice.
It's exactly like they said. It's almost like a burnt sugar. It's delicious.
And I find it actually a little less spicy than the Monkey Shoulder.
Yeah. Monkey Shoulder to me is a little bit, I'll drink both of them because this is not as easy to drink as the Monkey Shoulder. I feel like I could drink the Monkey Shoulder all day long. The Monkey Shoulder is 86 and I feel like this hits like a 90, but I don't know Scotches to be rolling there.
It's also 86.
Yeah. So this is definitely a little more alcohol forward, but
it's
a 10-year. I like it.
Okay, so here's the finish. Quite long, gentle, malty and very fruity. That's exactly what the finish is.
It's spot on.
You really do taste the malts and fruits in that finish.
It's a delicious whiskey. I mean, would I want to drink this and never drink him? No, I think Monkey Shoulder and this both have a place for me. I think I like them both. This is a little more intense. It's $10 more than the Monkey Shoulder at least, maybe 12. 15 at the most, but
right. The Monkey Shoulder was about 30-ish, and right, and this was 40-ish. Oh, and the Glenmorangie comes in a nice box.
Glenmorangie is a beautiful bottle.
One thing about Scotches, they always come in these nice boxes.
Scotches love their box, and some people go like cylinder.
Yeah.
Canister.
Right. It's so cool. Like, we're such Scotch noobs.
I belong to a lot of whiskey groups, and there's a lot of Scotch talk, and I always kind of sit there and lurk and try to learn.
Right.
And I know right now, if they're listening to this, I know they're like, you guys are so dumb. And I can't argue with you.
No,
we're trying, though. We're trying to be better people.
We said, I think, way back, I don't even know what episode was, that we wanted to get into Scotches. Maybe it was the second or first, and that we eventually would. And, people who are like us, who are not into Scotches, their first introduction into whiskey was bourbons, maybe ryes.
Correct.
They're coming along on a journey with us. This is a journey for us into Scotch. And I think if I was a Scotch lover listening to this podcast, I'd be wanting to give us tips, like what to do next. Which Scotches we should try. I want to encourage people to do that for us because we are not Scotch drinkers.
We're right there with you.
We don't know a whole lot. We did a modicum of research on both of these Scotches tonight.
Modicum equals 20 minutes, if you're wondering.
Right. This is the Chronopocalypse. We're under lockdown.
Right.
So we had to slap this episode together. So please bear with us.
And the reality is, if I don't do something creative, I'm going to go absolutely batshit insane in this fucking nightmare. And I need to say, God bless the healthcare workers and the people who are out there in the trenches, the people who are in the grocery stores that are stocking shelves for people to come and get supplies. So it's a really crazy time. And people said, should you even do the podcast? And I said, absolutely. Because you need some stability. You need something to listen to take your mind off it. If we help 50 people take their mind off what's going on for an hour, I'm happy to do it because we have to think about something. It's overwhelming, the data we're getting, the information we're getting. It's unprecedented. I think you have to go back to 1918 to the great Spanish influenza to have something similar.
Yeah, definitely. And we have been, at least my work and also your work, Ed, I believe,
yes,
working from home remotely. We probably continue to do that. It started off as a test day. It was on a Friday, and I expect them, of course, to extend it because now that both states, New Jersey and Pennsylvania, are under shelter in place and our building is closed.
I'm already out. I'm scheduled to come back a month from today.
Right.
We'll see if that gets extended, but that's where I am right now.
Yeah. You were saying earlier before we even started that you would go crazy because you sort of thrive on social contact and you teach children all day. So this is especially bad for people like you who thrive on that.
Yeah, I thrive off being busy. I have a job that I usually go to work at around 7:30. Okay, 7:45. You fuckers.
7:55.
So they, especially during the winter, I'm there till 8:30, maybe even 9 o'clock at night. I'm used to being busy and occupied. And when I have time to sit, I go a little stir crazy and I get inside my head and it's just not a good place for me to be. Speaking of, here's something funny I saw online though. Cognac, you have to be in the cognac region of France to be a cognac or else you're just a brandy, right?
Right.
And bourbon, right?
Right.
Has to be some, so this says,
and champagne.
Actually, it's only a quarantine if it's from the quarantine region of France. Otherwise, it's just a sparkling isolation.
I saw that too. It's hilarious. Yeah. So the extroverts like you, we have talked before about I'm sort of an introvert and Ed's an extrovert. I feel like I was built for this. I can spend a week or two without any social contact. I'm fine with just sitting in front of my television, watching YouTube, playing video games, getting online. Working from home is probably my preferred state. I didn't do it prior to this because I did miss the camaraderie that people at work, but there's nobody at work, then there's really no reason to even worry about going to work. I saw a meme somewhere having on lockdown and people going sort of stir crazy and nuts about it. And then introverts are saying, I've been preparing for this my whole life.
I saw another one that said, introverts, put your book down, put down the controller, and reach out to your extrovert friends. They're suffering right now. And I think that's so true. But I think that what we're trying to do is share with you is how we understand if you are where we are, which is new to the Scotch game, Monkey Shoulder and Glenmorangie Original is also a great place to start.
Pouring a little bit of water on it is wonderful.
I'm going to do it right now.
Yeah.
Oh my God, that's much better.
Oh, that's so nice.
It's great.
I'm getting some citrus now. Oh, it said lemon. Well, there you go.
Yeah, it's got a great flavor, doesn't it?
It does. I'm tasting them both side by side. So you're going to do a taste side by side comparison?
Sure, in a second.
What are you looking up?
Famous Scots.
Top 10 Scots. Number 1, Sean Connery.
Perhaps the world's best known Scot. Still alive, by the way. Born in 1930.
1930.
Yeah.
Holy shit. Wait, he's 90?
Yeah.
Fuck.
He's fucking James Bond, bro.
So,
Number 2, Ewan McGregor.
Yeah, he was the younger Obi-Wan Kenobi, right?
yeah.
In the Star Wars trilogy.
Yeah, they're supposed to do a whole series on Disney Plus with him in it. That'd be awesome.
Yeah.
Me? Am I on the list?
Number 3, me. Fuck yeah.
Scott? Yeah, right there. You're
Number 3?
You're number 7.
Oh, no, sorry. Number 7.
Actual number 3, Adam Smith. Who?
Known as the father of modern economics.
Who the fuck is Adam Smith? Fuck him.
No.
Sorry.
He wrote the pamphlets in the New World, remember?
Oh,
He's
that
the one-
Adam Smith.
He was the one that was in the colonies that
I
said
have no
this shit.
idea what he's talking about.
Number 4, Alexander Fleming. Who?
He discovered penicillin in 1928. Every town should have a school named after his ass, but no.
Oh.
Number 5, Mary Queen of Scots.
Oh, sure. She was the queen of the Scots. She's queen of me.
Tied for number 6, Robert the Bruce and William Wallace.
Braveheart fan.
Right. Problem with Scotland is it's full of Scots. It's full of me.
So, to end the stupid,
Wait, that was it? That was all 10 of them?
the rest of the people I wasn't recognizing, so I figured,
Oh my God, we can't even do a top 10 list properly.
well, they can't list it properly. They had it by category.
Oh, well, that's
They had
dumb.
actors, and then they had scientists, and then they had public
I
officials,
see.
and they had athletes. I'm like, all right, I'm already lost, and I'm the one doing it.
You know, I feel like I should do the 23andMe,
Yeah.
the genetic thing, because I supposedly have Scottish ancestry.
I believe that.
The Campbell clan, if my mother is to be believed. My name is Scott, right?
Yeah, and he was wearing a kilt and nothing else when I came over today.
it's so not true. I don't even own a kilt.
You do.
I do have several dresses, though.
Oh, that's what it must be.
Right. It wasn't a kilt. It was just a plaid dress.
Well, I'm just about to take the rest of the Glenmorangie to the head.
I just want to determine side by side maybe which one we prefer.
Right. Wow, it's close. After that, I think I actually might like the monkey shoulder better.
You know, me too. And the reason why is it has that spiciness,
It
that
does,
kick
but
at
I have
the
to
end.
tell you, I'm going to be honest with you. I could drink the Glenmorangie, no problem. And if someone bought me one in the bar, I'd be happy.
Yeah.
But tasting the monkey shoulder right now, I'm like, I think I like that like a centimeter better than the other one.
Yeah, I feel like if they were matched up again on the Whiskey Madness, we might pick the monkey shoulder.
Yeah, we might pick the monkey shoulder and upset. I'm sure that if Scotch drinkers came in here, they would probably land on the Glenmorangie and live there because
Right.
their palate's more sophisticated than me.
I mean, it is good. They're both wonderful expressions.
I'm amazed at how far I've come in the last year. I'm surprised that I like both of them because I do. If Scott said, I want to get one of these for the locker, I'd be like, all right, I'll drink some with you. Because had this been a year ago, I'd be like, fuck no, I'm not getting a monkey shoulder in my fucking locker. There's 50 fucking bourbons I could have in there before I get one of your fucking little Scotch, like, I want to be a better person project.
Random Belligerents Ed Edition.
Right. So let's talk about the difference between bourbons and scotches, at least the non-smoky, non-peaty variety. I think this is something that we probably should address on an episode that we're billing as for bourbon
No, I
drinkers.
think it's true. Let's get something in our glass over here.
Some bourbon?
Yeah, get some bourbon.
All right. Well, we only have 25 bottles. Which one do you want?
They have McKenna, which is the whiskey of the world in 2019.
Good choice.
Overtime.
So we're going to put a little bit in the
The Glencairn.
in the Glencairn from the Hen McKenna. Just get it in my mouth. That's good. That's all I need. And I got the Glenmorangie in my tumbler.
All right. So let's just compare the color, first of all.
Oh, it's incredibly darker. The Hen McKenna is like 50 shades darker.
50 Shades of Brown.
50 shades of brown darker than the fucking Glenmorangie. No, it's a lot darker.
It's about to be S&M around
That's
here.
right. Right.
I didn't watch the movies, but I know what it's about.
Right. You can find me at hashtag GIMP costume, hashtag let Gabe out, hashtag
But
let Gabe out.
cutting that out.
Cut everything out.
All right. So the color, like most scotches, surprisingly to me, because they're aged so
amazing.
long,
10 years.
tend to be so light.
Yeah, I don't understand. It's crazy. But I think this comes down to them multiple using the casks.
And the Glenmorangie, who only uses it once or twice, it is darker
Than the monkey shoulder. Absolutely.
Yes.
So let's take a sip of the Henry McKenna.
Yeah. On the nose, it's so completely different because what you're getting from a bourbon is sweetness. That corn is just so dominant.
I don't understand how the McKenna lost in the Whiskey Madness.
It's a bullet.
To anybody.
It's wonderful.
It is wonderful. And now I'm going right to Glenmorangie. Oh.
Yeah. See, now, the thing about Scotches, they didn't have corn, right? At least historically. They didn't know what corn was. That's a new world crop.
And the corn that ends up getting taken over to the Europeans was of a quality that became animal feed.
Right.
I had a neighbor who was German down the shore, and he said that his grandfather came over from Germany, and they were all excited to give him Jersey corn because, the sweet Jersey corn is famous. It's delicious.
Jersey corn in August is fucking
and they're
prime.
You literally don't even eat butter. You just throw it in your fucking mouth.
No.
So he sat there and they brought this whole big platter out of fucking corn and they're all excited. They put it in front of him like, hey, have some corn. He's like, he just shakes his head. No, have some corn. Because in Germany, corn is really used to feed animals. It's not for human consumption.
Right.
So basically, it'd be like offering somebody like fucking cat food in your fish taco. He was like so fucking horrified. He was like, what the fuck are you giving me?
Right. So they didn't have that. So all they had was barley. They didn't have like rice or cereal grains or anything like that. So that's what they had to craft their stuff with. And that's the taste profile that they enjoyed. And it's not a bad taste profile, but it's completely different than the corn sweet loveliness that we have in America. That said, you can get sweet flavors out of barley.
Mm-hmm. I mean, the Glenmorangie is delicious. It really is.
These are all delicious.
But it's not as complex as the Henry McKenna. And if you're...
Well, okay. So we loaded the guns here. We gave Henry McKenna. Maybe we should have done the base McKenna, not the 10-year bottled and bond.
But we're going against... No, but wait. We're going against the 10-year Scotch. So I'm okay with doing that.
All right.
And the $43 price tag for the Glenmorangie is pretty much exactly where the price point is for the Henry McKenna when it comes out of Heaven Hill.
Right.
So, I mean, after I taste the Henry McKenna, do I like it better than Glenmorangie? Yes, I do like it better. But... it's completely different. And if I'm in a certain mood, I'd rather have the Glenmorangie.
Yeah, if you're with people who like Scotch, this is what we talk about on this podcast a lot. If you are in a certain category, and that's the category that you've always been, whether it's bourbons or ryes, or it's even a particular one of those. Mm-hmm. Like if all of you had your entire life is Jack Daniels, let's say, that's what you like. No shade on that. You like it.
You like it.
We're all about drink what you like.
Sure.
However, we encourage people to expand their horizons a little bit.
A little bit.
Yeah. If you like Jack Daniels, maybe you'll like
Woodford Reserve.
Yeah. Maybe you'll like
Basil Hayden.
Yeah. Maybe you'll like
anal beads. Everyone's got their own taste.
Wait, hold on. What? Wait, anal beads?
Knob Creek.
So, if you're a bourbon drinker, you've tried a lot of bourbons, you're ready to make a leap into a different category. This is what this episode is about.
Yeah.
Buy yourself a monkey shoulder.
That's my first Scotch I would tell you to buy.
If you're a little bit intimidated by the Glen and the Glenmorangie, it's like, oh, that's too much Scotch for me. Do the monkey shoulder. There's no Glen on it.
Do it.
And it's monkeys.
People put it in the Whiskey Madness next year because I'd love to see where this would do.
Oh, that'd be great.
So listen, I'm glad that you were here for our first Scotch episode.
Yes.
I'm sorry Joe and Lisa couldn't be here.
Yeah.
Scott and I forged ahead to get the content in. And
did the best we could.
And if you're a bourbon drinker who wants to try Scotch, monkey shoulder is not a bad way to go. And if you want something a little bit more complex, Glenmorangie, the original 10-year, we tried that as well. Either one is delicious, and I think it's a great experience. We wish you happy drinking and stay safe during these crazy times.
And just remember to be patient with each other.
And stay home while you listen to our podcast and drink whiskey.
Cheers, everyone.
If you enjoyed this podcast episode, be sure to check out our next episode, which is way better than this one.
Oh, yeah.
Also, follow and like our Facebook page at facebook.com/whiskeytangent. And follow us on Twitter at Whiskey Tangent. You can follow me personally at That Whiskey Guy. And follow Scott at Giant Cup of Awesome, spelled AWSUM, just to be annoying.
Hey.
You can email us any questions, comments, or love at whiskeytangent@gmail.com. And of course, you can find us always at our podcast website, whiskeytangent.podbean.com.